everyone, I'm Miss Shafiekah and welcome to today's lesson. Have you ever got confused by subject-verb agreement? Don't worry, it's simpler than you think. Let's simplify it with a fun analogy. Think of it as a marriage in a sentence. For a sentence to be strong, clear, and grammatically correct, the subject, which is the groom, and the verb, the bride, must agree before they can marry each other and live happily ever after in your writing. Just like in a marriage, they need to match a number, which is singular or plural, to create a harmonious sentence. So a singular subject needs a singular verb, which means one subject, and plural subjects require plural verbs, which means more than one subject. Their main point of agreement? Number. If your subject is singular, meaning there's just one groom, like he, she, it, or the cat, then its verb, the bride, also has to be singular. They match one with one. For example, one groom and one bride. Here, the number matches. But if your subject is plural, meaning there are many grooms, like they, we, or the cat, then its verb, the bride, also has to be plural. For example, many grooms with many brides. Now, the S rule, a special vowel for their union. When the subject is singular, the verb often takes an S at the end. Think of that as like a special wedding ring, which signifies a singular united pair. But when the subject is plural, the verb usually doesn't take an S because they are already a group, so there's no need for that extra S on the verb. Here's example for singular subject and verb. The bride dances. The S is on the verb dances. Another example, the groom runs. The S is on the verb run. Here is an example of a plural subject. The grooms walk. In this sentence, there are two grooms, which make the subject plural, so you don't need to add S at the end of the verb because plural verbs take no S. Similar to this example too. In this example, the brides are plural, so the verb sing must be in a plural form too, which takes no S. So what happens if they don't agree? If your subject and verb don't agree number, it's like a mismatched couple trying to get married. The sentence just won't sound right and it will be grammatically incorrect. Look at these examples. They don't agree number, so these sentences are grammatically incorrect. So, next time you're writing, remember, make sure your subject and verb are in agreement, just like a happy married couple. Alright, so we have learned that for a happy sentence, our subject, the groom, and the verb, the bride, must agree in number. One subject, one verb, many subjects, many verbs. However, just like in any marriage, it is not that simple. Just like in any marriage, sometimes there are challenges or problems that can interfere with the harmony of the marriage. So let's see what kind of problem could interfere with the subject-verb agreement. First, the in-between phrases. Just like in any marriage, sometimes there are wedding guests who try to stand between the bride and the groom. These guests are like extra words or phrases that pop up between your subject and your verb. They can sometimes try to confuse you about who the real bride or groom is. Let's take a look at this example. The box of chocolates is on the table. In this sentence, of chocolates is the in-between phrase between the subject, the box, and the verb is. But remember, no matter how many guests are there, the subject, which is the groom, has to agree with the verb, the bride. In this case, box is singular, so the verb is also singular. The in-between phrases do not change the marriage between the subject and its verb. Next, pronouns like everyone and everybody. These pronouns seem plural, but they are always singular, so they need a singular verb. When we say everyone or everybody, we are referring to each person, even though we are saying it to the many people in the room. Look at these singular examples. Everyone is expected to submit their assignment by Friday. Everyone in the room was surprised by the sudden announcement. Everybody knows the answer to that question. Everybody has something valuable to contribute to the discussion. Next, pronouns like all, some, any, most, none, which are also called indefinite pronouns of quantity. These pronouns depend on whether the noun they refer to in the sentence is countable or uncountable. Alright, I'm sure you still remember what countable and uncountable noun is. Let us refresh our memories for a bit. A countable noun refers to a noun that you can count like people, tables, and cars, while an uncountable noun refers to a noun that you cannot count like sugar, rice, or information. Let's take a look at these examples. All of the students are attending the lecture. In this sentence, students are countable nouns, so the verb must be plural, are. Let's take a look at the third example. Some of the water has spilled on the floor. Water is considered as one unit, so water is singular. Therefore, the singular verb has is used. When you encounter these types of pronouns in a sentence, you should, number one, identify the noun immediately following the preposition of. Next, determine if the noun is countable or uncountable. And lastly, choose the verb form that agrees with that noun. Next, phrases such as together with, along with, as well as, in addition to, or accompanied by. When you have a subject followed by these phrases, you need to remember that the verb must only agree with the true subject, which is the noun or pronoun before the modifying phrases. Let's look at these examples. Number one, the professor along with the students is presenting at the conference. In this example, the phrase along with the students only provides extra information. The true subject in this example is professor, which is singular. So the verb must be singular, and in this example, is. In the second example, the subject is manager, which is also singular. So the verb should be singular. The same goes for the third example. Here is the tip for you when you encounter the sentence. You can put parentheses around these type of phrases as shown below. For example, the student as well as parents is or are happy with the result. Let's say you're not so sure whether to choose is or are for this sentence. So you can actually put parentheses around as well as her parents. So it becomes clear that the student is the sole subject, so the verb should be is. Next is either, neither, or neither nor, or either or. Let's see either and neither first. When either or neither is used alone as a pronoun, it is always singular. For example, number one, you can choose between the red or the blue. Either is a good choice. In this sentence, when you use either alone as a pronoun, it is a singular, so the verb must be singular too. So the verb is in this sentence is correct. Right. Second example, I offered him coffee or tea, but neither was what he wanted. In this example, neither is also singular, so the verb was is correct. Next, let's see either or and neither nor. When these are used to connect two subjects, the verb agrees with the subject closest to the verb. For example, number one, either the students or the professor is responsible for setting up the equipment. In this sentence, the subject closest to the verb is the professor. So the verb is correct. Right, let's see second example. Neither the instructor nor the students are in the classroom. So which subject is the closest to the verb? Instructor or the students? Yes, you got it right. It's the student. So the verb must be plural because students are plural. Let's take a look at the last one, the words there and here. Sometimes we encounter sentences start with the word there or here. But remember, words like there or here are never the true subject of a sentence. Let's take a look at these examples. Number one, there is a book on the table. In this sentence, the true subject is book, which is singular. So a singular verb must be used, which is. Second example, there are many books on the table. In the sentence, the true subject is books, which is a plural subject, so the plural verb are is used. Next example, here comes the bus. In this sentence, the true subject is bus, which is a singular subject, hence verb is used. Now we have reached the end. I hope the marriage analogy has helped you understand the concept of subject-verb agreement. So whether it is a simple pairing or you have a whole party of wedding guests trying to stand between the subject and the verb, always remember the golden rule for a strong and happy sentence. Your subject, the groom, and your verb, the bride, must always agree in number. Because when they agree, your sentences are clear, strong, and live happily ever after in your writing. Now that you have understand the rules of subject-verb agreement, let's put your matchmaking skills to the test.